A man of vision. A man of vision. The accident. In 1809, Louis Braille was born in a small town in the country of France. One day, at the age of 3, Louis hurt himself. While playing in his father's shoe workshop, he tried to make his own pair of shoes. Louis picked up his father's sharp awl and bent over. The awl went into Louis's eye. His hurt eye became sick. Before long, the sickness spread to his second eye, and a short time later, Louis could not see. He was blind. Still, Louis went to school with children who could see, but after 2 years, his parents took him out of school. They thought that there was nothing more for him to learn at school. He could not read or write. As with many other parents of blind children back then, Louis's parents thought he would end up on the street, so they moved Louis from his small town to the big city. He was 10 years old. School for the blind. Louis's parents sent him to a school for blind boys in the city of Paris, France. It was one of the first schools for blind people in the world. Louis learned many skills at the school. He learned how to weave branches together to make chairs. He learned how to sew leather to make slippers. Louis also learned how to read. He felt raised letters on a sheet of paper. The paper was pressed against copper wires, shaped like letters. This made a raised letter on the paper. Blind people could feel these letters. But the letters were difficult to read. Too many letters felt the same. Many letters had similar shapes. And the wire used to make these letters had to be shaped by people who could see. It seemed there had to be a better way for blind people to read. Night writing. Charles Barbier, a soldier, invented a form of night writing for France's army. Night writing gave soldiers a way to read in the dark. Soldiers often hid in the dark. They did not want to use a light because they did not want to be found. Night writing also allowed soldiers to send messages to one another without using light or making a noise. Night writing used 12 small raised dots to form each letter. But the army decided not to use it. It was too hard for most soldiers to learn. So, in 1821, Charles took the system to Louis's school. Louis believed a system of raised dots could be used to help blind people read. He had been trying to create a touch system of his own for reading and writing. When he tried night writing, he knew it was the right one, but he also thought that it was too difficult. The night writing system did not allow fingertips to touch a whole letter. The readers had to move their finger to feel the whole symbol. Night writing also did not include periods, question marks, music signs, or numbers. Louis asked Charles to change his system to make it easier, but the soldier would not change it. Louis's own system. Over a few years, Louis made a shorter, easier form of this touch system. He used 6 dots instead of 12 to form each letter. It allowed a person's fingertip to feel the entire symbol without having to move. This difference let blind people read much faster and easier. At age 15, Louis shared this new system with his classmates and the school. Several years later, Louis added a similar dot code for music and math. Today, we call this form of written language Braille. It is named after Louis Braille, who helped invent it. Today, blind people use a stylus and a slate to write Braille. Dots are punched on the back of heavy paper with a stylus. A slate is used to keep the dots spaced correctly. Sentences are written from right to left. Then this letter is flipped over and the sentences are read left to right. Braille can also be written using a Perkins Brailler, a typewriter-like machine. Braille gives blind people a way to both read and write. A loved teacher. Louis died in 1852. However, before his death, Louis had become a teacher at the school he attended as a child. He was loved by his students. His form of written communication lives on. Even though Louis Braille became blind at a young age, he never gave up. Instead, he overcame his obstacles, which made it possible for blind people to read. Glossary. All, blind, night writing, obstacles, soul, slate, stylus, symbol, touch system.